So before I start, did you ever come across this wording called as low code? Any one of you? What is this low code is all about? Just guess it. It is low code. You don't need to write a lot of code. When you don't need to write a lot of code, it is really quite easy to manage. So there is an automation is there, what is this automation? Automation is just converting your existing process, manual process, what you are following, into an electronic. Am I right? Yes? Now there is another word which we are using, digitalization and the digital transformation. What is it all about? What is the difference between an automation and a digitalization? Any guess? Earlier we used to get some information from any website, right? We used to type something and there is a response was been coming from the other side. There is a person sitting over there, right? Nowadays there are virtual assistants are been coming in. Can able to understand your question and can able to respond you back. Right? So it is trying to replace the humans to some level. What is this digitalization is not? It's just that it's not going to automate your process. It is going to change the complete way of style of working. So now you automated an application in your organization so that you achieved that instead of manual tracking and everything, you got into the electronic way of tracking. That is the first advantage what you got. Now the digitalization makes you to take one more step of the digitalizing that particular process, completely transforming the business process using the technologies, like whether it is a robotic process automation or an artificial intelligence or an ML, if not, writing a very good algorithm. So taking a case of a classic example, every one of you mandatorily attending trainings in your organization, right? Yes? So now imagine there is an SOP which is being what is the latest SOP, you need to pick it up and you need to get everybody trained, then only you put them into the operations. Am I right or wrong? So instead of that, if suppose when the SOP has been loaded into the system, the questions automatically pulled it from the system and that is available into your training module, there the people can take a test. Based on the test, the questions what has been answered and try to analyze it and see that instead of reading the entire 100-page SOP or that they're going through the video material again, and you can specifically make them to read certain information where they are lacking. Are you getting any improvement there? Yes or no? With this, do you get some improvement? Yes or no? Okay, thanks. Now, when you wanted to go to this distillation, what is the current state of automation in the industry? So it is an automation is there or distillation is there? Now, business process automation exists in majority of the large-scale companies because if you don't have an automation, you cannot manage your process, right? With a manual process, you cannot able to handle 500 people or 1,000 people or more than that. So most of these companies are already having an automation. And now, small and medium-scale companies are partly automated, and they are just that going for the phase of few modules that they have, they keep on adding new modules. Even today we are talking about a Pharma 4.0. We are still not at a Pharma 3.0 with some of the companies. So now, but even if there is an automation exists in the large-scale pharma companies, can you able to directly get into the distillation? That's the question. So now, before getting into the distillation, there are key challenges. Lack of resources, skill and talent. So you need to have some kind of, that the mindset of completely think of transforming the business. So that's where people are being every day that they are busy with the regular work and they are busy with the audits and all these things. So that's where is that the skills is something is really a biggest challenge in the operation side. And the integration cost. You may be having a different applications, different levels of automation that you have, and your systems may not talk to each other. Your engineering systems will not talk to your QA systems. Your QA systems somehow link to the QC systems, but not fully. And the next thing is IT and business misalignment. This is always a big challenge. Business says, I need this. Then IT comes, says, why do you need this? And business says, there is always a conflict saying that means, that if suppose if there is a change I wanted to get into my system, then the cost getting into the picture. There are a lot of things that's where the misalignment happens. And organization silos. If a large organization is there and it has got each and every site will have its own kind of the style of working. And legacy systems. Some of the organizations I have seen it they're running on a Windows 7 machine still. The HPLC machines have been connected to the Windows 7 machines even still till date. So there are some legacy systems are been there, which they're not creating any problem for them. They're just they're continuing with the solution. And insufficient funding. And regulatory and compliance challenges, when you are changing any kind of, the process, again, you need to get onto this particular, the issue of like, the regulatory and compliance. Your process and everything is set. Now you are completely trying to transform. Then what you need to do it? You need to again, like, that is, have this complete, like, compliance checks to be done. And cyber security and privacy. Here, this is a big question. Now, the question is like, that everybody is talking about the cloud. Everybody moving to the cloud. Now, again, the question has been coming in, is the cloud is really safe enough for my internal data? So that's where it's like, whether should I go with a cloud solution, or should I go with an on-premise solution, or should I go with a hybrid solution? What I have it, I would like to keep it internally. What I don't have it, and it should be like, that not to be internally and should be shared within across globe. I can put it on the cloud. So these are the key challenges that there in the distillation that really making organizations to take the immediate step, and also like, and it takes a longer time again. So now, coming to this roadmap towards the distillation, again, this is the thought process and also the practically we are implementing in some of the companies, but still you may be having a better ideas. And we being an IT company, we request any problems that you have or any suggestions you have, we feel free to like, share with us. It is a great learning that what we are going to have from you. But this is something what? Now, when you look at a business process automation, let's talk about the most of the companies are having your ERPs, QMS, document management systems, learning management systems, and your electronic batch records, log books, and the serialization and the regulatory information system. These are all the systems which are going to already converted your business process into the, like, into the electronic. Now, I cannot jump in directly from here to the business digitalization. Let me take an intermediate step that is called as business process excellence. I take a step called as a business process excellence. What I am going to do it, I am going to collect the data from these systems. I try to implement some kind of, that algorithm on it and build some decision-making system. Suppose, for example, lab excellence. How I can minimize, like, that the turnaround time of a sample. Okay? I'll take the data from the samples and I try to build some algorithm on it so that we can create a campaignings, that in the lab, with which we could able to manage to minimize turnaround time of a sample. And like, quarterly forecasts. This is something is very much important. I keep hearing from yesterday, like, I've been talking to the leaders here, and wherein I'm getting it like, that the most of the plannings are really a big challenge. Today, what happens? Your sales forecasting always happens in the yearly basis. And if suppose if you're taking a real-time data, what the against the sale, and you're like, forecasting and based on the targeting, if you are changing it every quarterly, you are going to have a right numbers with you. That is going to come from this. And PQR. Today, what has been happening, the product quality reviews are being getting generated at the end of a year. Annual product quality reviews, what we call. Instead of that, whenever a new batch gets manufactured, the PQR automatically gives you the statistics, how this particular your PP, PPK, and CPK values, how they are being getting generated. So that based on that, it triggers what is an area that you need to, like, that the focus on. And anyway, performance dashboards, and some of the companies are already having it. You have an analytics, like, that is being available. And the resource utilization. This is the one more thing. It is, especially when I see in India, right, there are really means, that the plants of a bigger size. It is not about the capacity utilization. It is like, that when the capacity is not that much required, how I can, like, keep the plant, like, that idle. You need to have some systems to tell them not only like, that they're meeting the capacity, and also when the capacity is not there, and you try to kind of, that the user resources from one production line to another production. And this again, I was talking about employee skill evaluation. You need to find out from your systems, like, who is the kind of skillful person against an equipment, or like, that in a process. So the system itself tell you, right? And the production campaign. So you have a planning. And you see, especially, you can create the compressions and the coatings and all this, and you can divide that the process, whatever the planning, what you are doing a planning for the complete thing. Instead of that, when you have a multiple products are there, and you are trying to create a campaigning is like, the multiple products together, it is going to help you in terms of minimizing the time. Then, once you have all these things, at least your mindset has been changed from a business process automation to the business process excellence. Now we can focus on the next level, like, the predictive analytics. Whether it can be your equipment failures, or whether it can be like, how your capacities, like, plans can be automatically can be. Then you can go to achieve the Pharma 4.0. Okay. Now, so this way the digital conversion will be like, the faster and at a lesser cost. Because you are seeing that value of that is in each and every business process excellence solution, you are getting a business value out from it. So that means you are realizing a value, and then later that is that's the value will help you in terms of taking the complete advantage of each and every stage. Now, these are the questions came from yesterday. Yesterday I met people from Merck and Bayer and almost Amgen and all these companies. I got some problems from them. I tried to that they give a very simplest solutions, because yesterday night I was thinking how I can offer a solution for them. The first problem, last minute delivery changes by partners. Is it an issue or not? Yes or not? Yes? So now how we can solve it? It is the simplest solution. Whenever there is an automation, not a distillation is required. Whenever there is your partner is automating a business process specific to the electronic batch record, you just tell them, saying that whenever there is something is whenever each and every stage of your process, there is an email trigger to your contract giver saying that this process got complete. And any quality event that if you are generating from an electronic batch record, it should trigger an email to your the contract giver. So that will be enough. So you know that it's when I started the process, it knows to this one. I'm not going to say as a contract giver, we are not going to say change your system. Right? What we are telling them, you just keep in alerts for us. So when you give this thought process to them, it not only helps you being a contract giver, it also helps other contract givers too. Right? So that's the thing. Hope is it solves your problem or not? Please let me know at the end of this session. So connect between the internal quality and external quality systems. This is also one challenge that what I come across. So internal quality systems and also your supplier evaluation is maybe part of this particular internal quality system. But then after that, what are the challenges which you are facing it? For example, if there is a market complaint has been received from the market, then there's my partner is involved. How I am getting it communicated? So here what has been happening, this information has been sharing via the Excels, emails and PDFs today. So this has to be addressed. How? For this, we need to have a bigger roadmap. How this can be. Your partners and the customers exchange ideas when designing the solution. It may not be sounding good. Whenever I'm building a software or when I'm building an automation to our company, I can take a feedback, you don't need to involve as the stakeholders to that. You can take a feedback from them, what way it is going to help. In the same way, when the partners have been coming up, because whenever I've seen that, whenever a partner is going to build a software or anything, they will communicate to customer next year we are planning to do this automation. Do they do or not? So at that time, you can able to share your ideas. So now, you plan for an agile manufacturing facilities. So question is is your technology partner is agile? Whenever there is a change has been coming for your business, is your technology partner is ready to take it? With a single manufacturing facility, you are catering to multiple products. And why can't a technology provide a single platform to solve the industry problem? So you don't need to have a different solutions, different servers, right, and different support team to manage this. Why can't it have a one production line can able to handle multiple products? Why can't a technology can able to address this? So now I have really just 4 minutes video. So it just gives you an idea, right? I want you to get some idea on what is this low code and how it actually works. We are creating an application here. We make the things to move a little bit faster, but I can finish it in 4 minutes. I created an app and I'm logging in as an end user. Trying to create some dashboards out there. That's all about. Hope now you got some understanding. When you are narrating your story, we don't need a lengthy documents. We just that when you are narrating your business problem, you can able to create a solution. So now, any of you know that USA, that FDA has come up with the draft CSA, right? You got some idea about it? Now, because there is an industry facing a lot of time and effort into the computer system validation. It takes a lot of time in terms of validating again and again on the same thing. So when the platforms like this, when a low-code platforms is going to already they are being compliant with the Part 11 and Annexure 11 compliant. So whenever you are building on applications on top of it, you don't need to put a lot of validation effort. Because today, when you look at the today's system, wherein that you, in your current model, if you have an interest of getting any solution, you need to put a lot of effort. When you see the documentation effort is going to be very high. And your testing activities will be next, it's going to take the lesser time than the document. And assurance is really takes far lesser time than the testing. And the critical thinking has got very limited that is value there. So what happens is assurance is whether the software is meeting your expectations or not. First we will write a URS, then the URS itself takes 1 month. Right? And then after that, it goes for a multiple revisions. So that's where, the challenge of the current CSA approach. Now, the current CSA approach, what they are talking about, give a lesser, the importance to the documentation. So the parameters which are risk in your application, only that they record that particular information. It doesn't mean, it is not saying don't test the application. Test the application to make sure it is meeting your functionality, required functionality. Now, what it is doing with the documentation, where that all the risk parameters that require to be tested and documented, right? And the methods, the testing activity, when I'm talking about the same what I said, scripted and unscripted testing. You don't need to record everything. Then the assurance, you're going to put a more interest. Example, I will say that. We developed an application in the low code. Now you start using that application, parallelly. When we are making an application, you parallelly checking an application. right? I don't need to go back to my office and write a code for it. So that's where we are putting more effort into the assurance. Then you can do the kind of critical thinking, what are the risk parameters and all these things. And also not only the critical thinking, you put a more amount of time in the logical thinking because you have a system in front of you. And wherein when you see the system, from there you get good number of ideas. If you write it in a piece of paper and you cannot visualize the system. Now these low-code platforms will allow you to visualize the system from the day one, okay? And now, so this is what is like, this low-code technology, this is the trends that you can adopt with with the new approaches that what the FDA has been coming up with. So just to give you some briefing about us, as an AmpleLogic, we have these products are been available. So we have these products, what we have. We have the products for the business process automation, and we have the products for the business process excellence, and we are building a roadmap for the predictions. And services side, what is the services side? Especially what happens when we are working with the large companies, they have some automation already exist. They have a system which has been into existing for long. But as the system is not meeting the complete requirements, they are doing maybe a 5% and 10% of the job in the paper. They're still using a paper for it because the systems are not fulfilling the complete functionality. So that's where we as an AmpleLogic, we try to do the integrations. We take the data from those systems and we try to fill the gap with our solution. So that's what we do. We offer those services like, what I mentioned, we offer services for the supply chain and the finance, HR and admin and the sales, and also in the quality area. So introducing ourselves, we are at 250 qualified engineers are there, and we have 18 plus ready to use apps, and we have 100 plus customers. Out of the 85 are pharma, CDMOs and CMOs, and our project success rate is 98%. So it's a more like, that because the involvement of a business user comes from the day one, that's the reason where we could able to achieve the success rate of this mesh. So that's it from my end. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If you have any problems, please let me know. And we are at a stall number 27. Please feel free to reach to us. We can able to offer, may not be today, maybe definitely by tomorrow. I come with a very short-term solution. So thank you. Questions?
Good morning, and thank you, Chowdary. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Ocusoft, a client of AmpleLogic, and I know nothing about IT. So we have a company that is very, very in the infancy stages of developing our own R&D and manufacturing systems. Before that, we were a complete just distribution and wholesale. So when I reached out to AmpleLogic, I had also reached out to several other systems that I was familiar with based on my experience at Pfizer, Bausch & Lomb, and other companies. And all of those were way too resource heavy for our company, which is 50 to 100 people, and I was starting out basically the operations for R&D and manufacturing. So I think that's where what you saw as a very rapid flow of building blocks, if you see it in real time where you're able to sit with AmpleLogic, the biggest benefit that came for our company was the customization to the scale of the company. And I kept on challenging AmpleLogic, like, yes, we are at 50 people right now, but we're probably going to grow, and I want to make sure that you're able to handle that. The question that I had then is, you pointed out various other systems like SAP and things like that. What sort of solutions can you give us a glimpse into? Because that is something that holds people back in having the level of confidence of bringing a new system on board, is the integration with existing systems, and also if they have data in a previous type of, say, EQMS or DMS systems, migrating that data over. How challenging has that been?
Yeah, actually, that we work with the companies. Most of the companies that we work with are the large companies and also the small and medium companies too. So wherein they already have an SAP as an existing systems, right? When you're talking about an ERPs, they already have it. Some of the organizations are already having a LIMS. A business process automation solutions which I was talking about, that those are maybe an AmpleLogic solutions, maybe some other that the service provider solutions. But still, we can able to pull the data with our integrations. So we have a strong integration capabilities. If you have a legacy systems, for example, that if you have a legacy system where you are unable to create a dashboard from it, we are not going to create a logic for it. We just pull the data and create a dashboards for you. So the integration capabilities is something is really that a value addition what we can give it. So you don't need to change your existing systems. You can continue with your existing systems, and we can build that value addition on top of it. Okay then. I think my time is up. Thank you very much.